Creamer Media's Mining Weekly Online is talking to Dr. John Bristow, a resources consultant and very well known in the diamond industry. John, we've been mining here for over 100 years. We've had these discoveries, but we've reached a point where we're depleting and there's been nothing on the exploration front to really to fill up those gaps that have been left. What can we do to get exploration going to ensure that we don't head into a sunset in this finite horizon business?
Okay, Martin, you've hit it on the head and almost taken away my presentation, but fantastic. I mean, the first thing we need is real leadership. We can't run an industry or a business from the courts. I mean, sometimes you have to do it, but let's find some leadership with passion and vision for this industry, because right now we have none of that. The second thing, you're absolutely right again on the second point. We have mines, we have old ore bodies, and we haven't replaced those ore bodies. And it was great last week to see De Beers talking about the fact that South Africa is unexplored. And bear in mind, the last major ore body, and I'm talking greenfields, not extensions of existing mines, was Phoenicia in about 40 years ago. And by definition, mining exploits a resource or a reserve, and it depletes it and it runs out. And that's where we are in our industry. And unless we go and explore again and find new ore deposits, we'll continue to turn out the lights. And with poor policy added to that, we see massive disinvestment, lack of interest in our business. So you know, my first starting point is we need the leadership to look at where we take this industry. It's a resources industry, it's not just mining. We need to go back to the value curve, and we need to go and work on the front of the value curve, which is exploring and finding new ore bodies. And maybe we won't find the elephants and the BIC and the big Goldwitz deposits like we did in the past, but they're going to be other, maybe they're mid-tier, and maybe a few elephants out there that with new technology, again, there's masses of new technology. Aeromag is very sophisticated today, very quick, very high resolution, and let's, you know, let our youngsters and all the excellent companies we have in this country, you know, let them loose in South Africa. Currently, they all live and work and run their businesses here, but all the work has been done outside the country. So you know, my premise and solution is really 5 points. We need leadership. We need to accept that, you know, mining is finite. So we need to change from a mining approach to an exploration, development, and mining approach. We then need to effectively create a landscape to, or the systems and the policies to ensure we have exploration. Leading on from that, and I've talked about it there, is the policy. We need enabling policy that's tailor-made for the different facets of that resource curve, be it exploration or development or mining. We need to ensure we have easy access, transparent access to mineral rights. And I mean, ironically, and to give them credit, the ANC actually introduced use or lose mineral rights, but they've never properly implemented it. And we need access to modern information. We haven't mapped this country for 20, 30 years. Okay, so that's critical. Leading on from that, we need to transform. We actually haven't transformed this industry. We're still in an old paradigm. It's all about mining and making a hole in the ground. You know, where are our real new entrants and owners? We empowered or enriched a group of people, you know, 15, 20 years ago, but none of them have stayed in the industry in providing leadership and policy direction. So we need to transform. And we need to educate. Unfortunately, I see it, and I travel a lot in this country, and I meet people out in the sticks, and I meet lots of black people on mines. You know, to most of our population, and most of it is black, as we know, mining is just a dirty, horrible business where you might get a rock falling on your head, but, you know, you need employment. And mining, when you look at what it contributes in this room and around us, you know, should be a fun business. We need to educate people on the advantages of and the reasons why we mine and all the commodities that we use out the ground, including our smartphones. So, to me, we can fix this business, but it needs leadership, passion, and a vision, which we don't have at present.
And if we've got to get these juniors going, where is there access to opportunity? In other countries, you can get on the internet and find out what is open to you and then start moving. What do we do in South Africa? We haven't got a system that can enable people to move fast, like the SAMRAD system doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, Martin, I mean, SAMRAD, and I see it pitched up in your publication yesterday, as an embarrassment to this country with respect. Anyone who comes here from overseas and tries to use SAMRAD is thinks we it's laughable. So let's fix SAMRAD. We have a fantastic little company in Cape Town, in Pinelands, which actually rolls out a mineral tenure management system all over the world. They've done Mozambique and lots of other countries in Africa, and they could do it probably in weeks and then train the people to use it. And it's not difficult given technology where it is today. So my view, and again, De Beers said it last week, we still have lots of this country that should be re-explored or explored from a first principles type process. To do that, you need access to information. So you need to be able to access what mineral rights are available, what are being used. Is there someone there that you see you want to go in partnership with? And that way, let our entrepreneurs loose. I mean, this country is full of entrepreneurs. We have great entrepreneurs. Even our illegal miners, so to speak, are entrepreneurial. And let's harness that entrepreneurial spirit with good policy, a good mineral rights management system, access to information. And to me, that's also the best way that we can transform this industry and create real black owners, instead of trying to artificially vendor finance or try and work someone into 26% of a business, particularly in an old industry. This is an old industry. The margins get squeezed every time there's a margin. Labor wants more wage, so you close that margin. But if we want to transform and get real ownership, whether the gentleman's black or green or the lady or white should be able to walk into the department, make an application, get it processed properly and speedily, and get out on the ground and start exploring. And it's done in the rest of the world. I mean, if people don't like to look at Canadian or Australian models, for goodness sake, go and look at Peru, country with a very harsh colonial history, destroyed a whole Inca empire. But today, after some help from the World Bank, they've transformed, or busy transforming, their industry, not the industry, their population. Unemployment is down, poverty is down significantly, and there's lots of exploration and lots of mining going on, or exploration, development and mining. And if people want to go and look at a good example, I would go and look at that. As a starting point, look at Chile and how it's built its copper business, and it still has lots of explorers out there looking for new deposits. So I'm a geologist, the eternal optimist. This country, to me, is unexplored, and lots of my colleagues and lots of other people would I believe support that. I think we as the industry have been very poor in terms of adopting the attitude, almost arrogantly, that we found everything, we explored this country. Don't tell us there's nothing left to be found, and that's just simply not true. And then all the big companies previously found smaller deposits, mid-tier deposits that we should go and relook at and potentially develop. And they're the sort of projects where black entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs should be involved. And I think we could very quickly change this industry for the better, and we could also create lots of new entrepreneurs if we open up the space, provide access to information, provide access to a lot of the bottom drawers of the big companies who still have some of those details of smaller projects. So Martin, I think it's just going to take good political will, good leadership, and a change of attitudes, and we'll turn this business around.
But there's also risk involved. If we start at the beginning again, at the exploration front, there is risk, and other countries have recognized this. We see the flow-through scheme in Canada, we see incentives in Australia. What are they doing in Peru and Chile? How do they incentivize?
Yeah, Martin, you raised another critical point. I mean, I think that's another real good way of, again, getting, you know, black entrepreneurs and all entrepreneurs into the exploration. It is risky, and you would have seen in Australia, the Prime Minister announced, I think it was a month ago, $100 million incentive for explorers to help, you know, lower some of that risk and encourage the explorers. And Chile and Peru and all these countries, that they all have, in a sense, particularly at the early stage, an incentive for the newcomers and the explorers to actually go and, you know, take that risk and look for the next elephants and giants and new ore bodies. And a lot of it goes back to just good policy, that if you're a little company, you don't have lots of your own resources. You're typically using someone else's money or an investor's money, or maybe even your own money. And so key in that is to get access to mineral rights quickly, be able to get on the ground quickly, and to produce results quickly, and then have institutions like a geological survey or a MinTech who can help you, because you don't have a full-blown technical team. And so that's the other critical area is support services. And you know, for anyone who's going out there, you know, just do yourself a favor and go to the Geological Survey, for example, in Perth, or the Mines Department, and see how quickly you can access information, be it mineral rights or gold information from the Pilbara. It's all real-time information, and you can, you know, very quickly submit an application. If you're an explorer, obviously it's easier and quicker than it would be for the full-blown miner, and you can get out there quickly. You don't have to go through layers of lawyers and toing and froing from the DMR. It's just a very efficient system, and time is money. So that's what we lack here. And again, we need to realize, you know, that it is a risky business. Not every project will be a mine. In fact, the stats are horrible. You know, it's probably one in 1,000 projects that ever become a world-class mine. But, you know, it's the same, how many Microsofts are there? You know, how many people, when I think back to my younger days of how many people were writing software for word processing and spreadsheets. Well, you know, there were lots of them, but we only ended up with one Microsoft. And that's the nature of the game. And Chuck Fipke, who found the Canadian diamond deposits, you know, it took him 10 years. He was mostly broke. His share price was, you know, penny stocks, but when he hit the Point Lake kimberlite in Canada, up in the Northwest Territories, you know, his share price went from penny stocks to $25, and he walked away with, you know, with a massive payout from BHP Billiton when they bought into the project. And a healthy industry sees exactly that. You have all the little juniors and developers running around, and when they find something, they either develop it into a mid-tier or small deposit, and they run it as a small deposit, as a junior. But if they find something big and they don't have the capital, they go to a major who has the capital and the expertise to develop that small project or that discovery into a big mine. And so there's a healthy synergy. You know, the little guys keep the big guys on their toes, and they're chasing after them to see what they can find.
We've got a terrible legislative framework here, but we have got a depth of legal practice. We've got lawyers who are in resources. Could these people not be harnessed to give us a competitive legislative environment?
Martin, as I say, I'm the eternal optimist. I mean, this country has the most amazing resources, as in people. When I see my son, and he's 32, his colleagues and, you know, the youngsters he brings home, and we interact with them, and then we export them all around the world. Elon Musk, for example. You know, this country has amazing people. It has amazing mineral resources, amazing geology, and it's got all the ingredients. You know, get a bunch of our Santon lawyers, a bunch of our miners. We've got very good explorers here who are frustrated. Put them in a room, and we could, you know, reconstruct MPRDA or the right legislation and the right charter for this industry probably in weeks, if you want to be, honest about it. We have lots of smart people. Let's use that amazing experience and talent to, rebuild a platform and get this whole industry working.
That was Creamer Media's Mining Weekly Online, talking to Dr. John Bristow, a resources consultant with years of experience in diamonds particularly, and in the South African resources industry.